Good afternoon, everyone. So we are Team Indonesia, and we are really excited to share with you our work during those 2 months. So the presentation will be mainly divided in 2 parts. First part will be mostly about general information of the country, and the second part will be mostly focused on what kind of approach we would recommend Kiabi if we decide to go there. So let's get started with some general information.
Indonesia is one of the most developing countries in Asia nowadays. It's really okay. Let's start. It's one of the most developing countries nowadays. It's one of the biggest countries and 16th of the population. So it's increasing. It's almost. Nowadays it's almost 820 million, and it's 16th in the world, and nowadays the number of population is growing every day. Also, it's quite urbanized country, so the number of people in the city is increasing, so it's 50% approximately, and the people moving to the city, good. As well as the number of nuclear, it's mostly nuclear families. The population of the ratio of women and men approximately the same, and oh, sorry. Yes. So again, the population concentrated in the cities, and the biggest city is Jakarta, which is 10 million people, and it's the capital. It's a very developing and modern city, as well as the others, Makassar and Surabaya, which may be very interesting for Kiabi. I want to add something about the GP, which is not here. It's 941 million nowadays, which is quite high level. Okay. And the average age of people there is quite young. It's families from 23 to 30, young families with 2 or more children. The rate is 2.4 nowadays, and the average income for these families is higher than in the suburbs, and most of the families concentrated in the cities. Yeah, most of these families are 43% earn more than 10 million in the local currency, which can be interesting for Kiabi to focus on them, because they are quite dynamic and more Europeanized than Asian people. Than the other part, they are more modern and European oriented than their traditional part of Indonesia, which still is there. Because basically the country is divided into 2 worlds, the traditional one and European one. And to be mentioned that the 80% of the country are Muslim people. And the short notification, the climate, maybe it's important, I think. The lowest temperature in Indonesia is 26 degrees and the highest 28, so basically it doesn't change a lot. And the climate is very tropical and quite rainy, so it also can be taken into consideration if Kiabi decided to move to Indonesia.
In Indonesia, local brand is still in favor, but nowadays people want to be trendy, so they would like to go to the foreign brands, especially the people who are in the upper class income groups prefer to buy foreign brands, and they don't want to continue with their local brands trendy clothes. And especially 40% of these population are the women that are the family first shoppers. It means they're doing the shopping for the family, for the men and for the kids. So they're the main target, and especially as Kiabi is focusing on women and children. So this is a good figure for them. And in 2003, it was only 13% of the people who were just writing their shopping list and they were doing their actual shopping for the clothes. But nowadays it's increased to 39%. So it's increasing, especially for the clothes and apparel. And in Indonesian family, word of the mouth has the most effect on the family, especially as they're nuclear family, but they're like extended also, so they're very focusing on what the family says. So more than any commercial things, e-commerce, anything, word of mouth in Indonesia has the first impression for family. And the main target are the young family with children, because as Julia also mentioned, they married when they're 23, and the kids is like 2.4 average number of kids. So it's a good target for them, and they focus on quality, value, trend conscious, which Kiabi has all of them.
Hey, basically I will speak here about who to sell, what's our target, and what to sell. We have to know in Indonesia our main target for Kiabi will be a woman of 28 years old with a family, children, 2 children, basically it's a nuclear family. We have also to know that in Indonesia have their parents in their family and their housing. Indonesian people are looking for really important criteria for their clothes, because, like Julia and Fanas says, there's a tropical environment or climate, and they are looking for light clothes, but also who can handle the wet weather. This is a country divided by 2 types. Also, is a country for Muslim and European styles. So they are looking for this type of clothes, and we have to understand also that people from below 25 years old who are younger are looking at clothes quite different than Kiabi offers. They are looking for Japanese or Korean styles, and people who are 25 or more are looking for European and American styles. Like you can see on the graph on the left, this is the best sales in Indonesia years and the increase. As you can see, even if it's a Muslim country, dresses are the best sales, so we have to think about that for Kiabi. And the colorful clothes is also quite important, so it's perfect for you guys. We have to understand also that Indonesian people like Christmas and Ramadan moments in the years, because they love to buy clothes at this moment, and they don't pay really attention for some stuff when this is this part of the year. For example, accessories for them is not quite relevant for the price at this type of the year, but for the rest of the years it's quite important.
About how to sell, if you decide to enter in the Indonesian market, and according to our research, it could be interesting to open the first store in Jakarta, especially in the Grand Indonesia Mall, and at the same time to launch the e-commerce of Kiabi. So why in shopping mall? First, because there are a lot of shopping malls in the main Indonesian cities, and especially in Jakarta, with more than 70 shopping malls which have fashion retailers. And also because research shows that 70% of Indonesian people with more than 10 million Indonesian rupee income would prefer to do their apparel shopping and footwear shopping in brand stores, which are especially in shopping malls, due to some reason as assortment, availability, conveniences, promotion and services. Then why in Jakarta, and especially in this Grand Indonesia Mall? Some competitors of Kiabi actually made the same decision. So H&M, Uniqlo and Forever 21 opened their first store in 2013 in Jakarta actually. And as you can see on the map, now H&M has 8 stores in Jakarta, 3 for Forever 21, 6 for Uniqlo, 3 for Cotton and Kids, and 3 for XSML, which is a local competitor. And actually, the Grand Indonesia Mall is one of the hugest and attractive modern malls in Jakarta, and is also located in the city center of Jakarta. So it would make sense because according to the new policy of Kiabi, which is to open new store in city center, so it could be relevant for Kiabi to implement in Jakarta. And by the way, as you can see on the map, all the competitors of Kiabi in Indonesia are present in this mall, which means that the potential future consumer of Kiabi will do their apparel and footwear shopping in this mall. About the structure of the store, we think that it could be interesting to set up the store in 2 levels, as H&M did. So the first level could be dedicated for the women and men's, because there are more flows in this floor. There are more flows in this floor in this shopping mall, and the second floor will be dedicated to the accessories, kids, footwear, and fitting rooms, because actually this floor in this shopping mall is more specialized for kids. And this kind of structure could be encourage the woman to go there and also to check the section of kids too. About the e-commerce, actually apparel and footwear e-commerce sales sales in Indonesia will be multiplied between 2015 and 2019 by 4.8. It could be a great opportunity for Kiabi to take advantage of it. And also, for information, Indonesian people have higher likelihoods of making online purchase due to a better internet access and greater demands for conveniences. And for information, H&M, Uniqlo and XSML has already an e-commerce in Indonesia, and there is also 2 web local competitors, which are Bobo, which promotes local stores because they don't have websites. And there is also Zalora website, which sells its own brands, but also foreign brands, as Mango, for instance.
So once Kiabi is installed in Indonesia, there might be 2 scenarios that can emerge. The first one is, let's suppose it's a very pessimist scenario, target is not responsive, sales are not as high as expected, then maybe we can think about close the store after 1-2 years. The most likely to happen scenario, that is scenario 2, is that profits are reachable, and Jakarta store is profitable. Then the second step of our strategy would be to open 4 new stores in Medan, Bandung, Surabaya, and Makassar. So why the stores? They all have some common points. First, they have some very good economic growth. The average age is quite young, and the mindset is very open to other cultures, and especially European and American culture as well. So that would be the second scenario. We brainstormed a little bit, and we thought about some sort of an evolution of the click and collect that we could call something like click and try. It's like basically it's like a pickup store, but including in moreover than just where you can receive actually your package. You can also try there in this place, and if you don't like it, you just leave it. The benefits are both from Kiabi, because in shipping cost you can group all sales, and you can make some economy of scale, and especially for the customer, instead of having a whole store and having to manage a whole team, it can also be some sort of an ambassador, a place that shares the brand image of Kiabi for cheaper. So this is not a store, but this is just a tool for communicating on the image. So this is a design on a flow chart, and where the packages can ship from the warehouse.
About services, so we made a benchmarking analysis in order to compare the different services of the main Kiabi's competitors, and it turns out that Kiabi is the only one to provide some services and can make a difference about some services compared to competitors. So actually, Kiabi is the only one to provide the e-reservation service that you know well, and also the loyalty program for pregnant women, and about the adjustment for apparel. Kiabi is the only one and is free. About the click and collect, it is only 1 competitor out of 5 which is able to propose this service. It is Uniqlo, by the way. And when you want to refund articles, Kiabi is among those who reimburse in money and for free, in contrary to H&M and XSML. So we decided to focus on improvements that Kiabi can bring for the new store in Jakarta, if there is, of course. As Forever 21, maybe it could be interesting to provide a broadened range of loyalty programs for students, for instance. About e-commerce, as we just explained before, and according to the fact that there is 3 competitors out of 5, which are H&M, Uniqlo, and XSML, they are already on e-commerce, and the fact that there is 2 local web competitors, it could be really important for Kiabi to be present on e-commerce. And about the click and try service that Romain just explained before, it could be maybe interesting to think about if Kiabi succeed in Indonesia.
So now let's go to pricing. We made a pricing study on 4 main competitors in this Grand Indonesia hotel. And mostly on the website in general. So the average price was calculated for women tops, men tops, and kids tops. And what is quite interesting to notice is that the average price in Indonesia is quite decent, and it's very easy for Kiabi to set a target price that is 20% lower than this average. For example, for men tops, the average would be 22 euros 23 cents. By the way, it's a January 18th exchange rate, so it's quite recent. And so if we calculate a 20% average rate on that, it would be about 18 euro. And 18 euro would still be 5,80 euro more expensive than the average price in France. So I think the main idea that we can keep here is that the margin, the possible margin you can do in Indonesia is much higher for kids than for women.
So we know what to sell, we know whom to sell it. No, we must know how to sell it. So basically, we need to have a strong communication campaign. The most interesting point is to notice that the penetration of internet and e-commerce is really important in Indonesia. 85% of the population owns and uses a mobile device, and 20% of online shopping is done by mobile device. So it's really important for Kiabi, if they want to implement the e-commerce, to put an emphasis on the mobile devices and mobile technologies, and thus also to communicate a lot on social media such as Facebook and Twitter. For the event communication, I don't want to tell you, what is useful. Street marketing and pop-up stores are really trendy, and Indonesia is not an exception. They love the street marketing. One particular point which is really relevant, but only in Indonesia, is the publicity in the elevators in the malls. So it has been proven that the publicity, the advertisement displayed in the elevators in the malls are really strong and really efficient for the business. It was also interesting to put a welcome party for the grand opening, as we can see it practically everywhere. And the speed job dating that Kiabi tried in Brussels can be also an interesting presentation to show to Indonesian people that their competencies can be an added value for Kiabi. Finally, it would be really interesting to create the buzz, for example, by association with a local YouTuber. So,
1 minute.
So know that we have clients, we must know how to keep them. So the Kiabi fidelity program is really interesting because the fidelity programs in Indonesia are actually expensive. You have to pay each month a certain amount of money to be clients. It's more like a membership than a fidelity program. Very important points in Indonesia is the flash sales. As you can see, it can happen several times in a week that there is a really strong flash sales with up to 80% of discount, but for only like 20 minutes in a day. So it's really trendy, it happens a lot in Indonesia. And the two promotion to promote on Kiabi.com, the average discount we can find on online websites are also basically the same as in France, between 55 and 40%.
By the end, we all know that Indonesia is still like preferred to buy local products, but nowadays you can also switch on foreign brands. And as you said, you will probably open in India. So if you can implement in India with their textile market, which they have a strong market, then you can also implement in Indonesia too, as they are the second in global for textile and apparel. Thank you.